Well, hello friends, happy Tuesday. I am so excited. We're on day 2. It probably feels like day 15 if you got your kit early and you've already started into the To Be Mindset videos, or maybe you feel like I haven't even started, I feel behind. Regardless, there's a chance that you've got some fear, some old feelings, some things creeping up in you, and I want to talk about those. I got a text from someone in the group and she said, I'm kind of on the struggle bus today. And I was like, oh, that means you're in the right place. That means it's working. Why do I get so excited about that? Let's talk about that. So the reason I did the poll in the group today, asking lots of questions about the way that you see food or some habits that maybe you've had a hard time breaking. And those things that you're thinking about, if you clicked any one of those boxes, those things, and this is not a shame thing, those things are diet mentality, right? Those are how we have thought for, depending on your age, the average woman is on a diet, which is a restrictive eating plan, for at least 25 years of her life. Y'all let that sink in. That's crazy. That's crazy how many years we have been thinking about food, obsessing about our bodies, comparing ourselves to other people, not feeling comfortable in our own skin, not really believing possibly who we were made by our Creator, right? We've had all of this experience believing the diet mentality. I say that to you to give you some grace and to remind you that this is a process, right? If you've been doing something for 25 years, it's going to take a little while to unlearn those habits. And like I said, there's no shame, there's no guilt here. I want you to think about the fact that you joined this group said that you are ready to dump that old mindset. It's not serving you anymore. So with that in mind, I want to talk to you, and I don't want this video to go long. I know you guys have got dinner to make and kids to put to bed and all that good stuff, but I want to give you a couple of principles that are super important and really critical as to why this group is different than any other group that you're going to find, any other fitness, accountability group, anything like that, because of the mindset work that we will do in this group. First of all, I'd offer to you that your coach invited you to this group for a very specific reason. They are skilled in walking through some mindset stuff that might be challenging for you right now, but they're at a different place, so they can speak from that level of experience. Call on your coach, text your coach, Facebook message your coach, be in contact with your coach. I will tell you right now, the people with the greatest results in the groups are the ones that post in the group, they stay vulnerable, they stay engaged, they stay connected. So I would offer, please do that. Stay connected. All right, so let's talk about the brain. This is where I could go really nerdy. I love to talk science, but I'm going to give you some basics. And most of you probably know a good deal about the brain, either through science class or maybe you're a podcast junkie and you've heard a lot of these terms. They're very popularized right now. But I want you to think about two parts of the brain. The prefrontal cortex, this is the higher brain, okay? And the lower brain. That's the animal brain. Let's talk about the difference between the two. The prefrontal cortex is what separates us from animals. Animals don't have the ability to plan ahead. They don't have the ability to take their emotions captive and do things with them. We do. That's why this is the higher brain, okay? The animal brain, often I liken it to a toddler with a knife. Like, it's just going to act on its own. It's going to do irrational things. It's okay. That brain is a habitual brain. How does that play into what we do? Let me give you an example. I love the analogy, here's my toothbrush. I love the analogy of learning to brush your teeth, okay? So when you a lot of you have kids, so imagine teaching your children how to brush their teeth. Or imagine when you learned how to brush your teeth. You were told how to hold the toothbrush, you were told the right amount of toothpaste to put on the toothbrush, you were told how to go in circles and how to brush the back teeth and to do all this kind of stuff. Every single time you went to brush your teeth, you had to think about that. What did mom say for me to do? Let me put it here and do I go this way or do I go this way? You had to think about it. But after a while, all of those thoughts, hey Megan, those thoughts became habits, okay? So brushing a teeth became a habit. I would be willing to put I'm not a gambler, but if I were, I would put money on the fact that none of you think about what you're doing when you brush your teeth. Because you took those thoughts from the prefrontal cortex and knocked them down into your lower brain, your animal brain. It's instinctual. You just do it. Driving a car is the same way. Most of us are so non-thinking when we're driving a car, we can often text or call someone or eat lunch while driving. None of those are good things, but you get the point. So what we want to do is we want to capitalize on the benefit that God gave us to use this prefrontal cortex, the planning part of our brain, okay? Are y'all hanging with me? Give me some thumbs up if this is all making sense. And if you're watching the replay or you're jumping in late, it's totally fine. Just go back and rewatch some of this. Okay, so I want to give you a model, and this is going to look kind of weird, but I want you to grab a piece of paper, and if not, go back and rewatch this later and you can write it down. But this model is an amazing model. When you've got emotions and thoughts that we know we want to take captive and really talk about because it's informing our eating, I want you to understand why. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this tonight, but I'm going to give you a 50,000 foot overview, and then we can talk about it more during this mastermind. CTFAR. This is a model that stands for circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, okay? So a circumstance would be something that is completely neutral, okay? It's a factual thing. It's something that happened, but you cannot change it. Let me give you some examples of that. Last week I woke up late. That was a circumstance. Can't change it, have to deal with it. Let me give you another circumstance. Trauma in childhood. Maybe there was childhood abuse. Maybe you come from a family of divorce. Maybe things just didn't go your way when you were a kid. That's a circumstance, okay? Another circumstance could be something completely awesome. It's your birthday. That's a circumstance. It's just something factual, okay? Here's how this works about mindset. Your circumstances trigger thoughts, okay? Now, thoughts are a sentence that goes through your brain, all right? It's just one sentence about the circumstances, okay? So let me give you the example of when I overslept last week. It was funny. I am religious about getting up at a certain time. I have my morning routine. I do my workout. Like, I just have everything kind of planned. It's the only part of my day that's actually planned and succinct. I feel like I have control over that. Well, I didn't, because I overslept. And I woke up and my first thought was, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I'm never going to get it done, right? So that one sentence informed my feelings, my F. F for feelings is one word that describes that emotional component. So for me, my feeling was panic. It's also stress. So see how that works down the chain? And what happens is that feeling then triggers or affects your action, all right? So the action becomes, for example, that day I was like running around the house. My action was like complete chaos, getting everybody out the door. And my result is I actually backed over my kids' toys in the driveway as I was leaving, which just reinforced the thought that I'm overwhelmed, I have too much to do, I'm never gonna get it all done. How did this happen? So, do you see how that works? Let me give you an example with the To Be mindset. This is something that I love to think about, and I'm just giving you kind of benign examples, and we'll dig a little bit deeper on some of these, but if you think about when you learned about the To Be mindset, you knew that you were going to be weighing every day. And for some of you, you had really negative reactions to that. And I assured you, it's going to be okay. So maybe your thought around weighing yourself daily was that the scale makes me crazy. Okay, so maybe that was your initial thought. And your feelings were frustrated, impatient, depressed. Is this ringing a bell? Like, that might have been how you were feeling or how you might have felt before. And so your action was that, this is going to take forever. You're already thinking it's not working. And then your result is that you start to question, why did I sign up for this anyways? This isn't going to work. My result is I should find something different, which reinforces that original thought. Remember the original thought? The scale makes me crazy. So then you go back in that loop. let me give you a tool. This is where this group gets super exciting. We have the power to take our thoughts captive. We have the power to change the T line. We have the power to rewrite that sentence. The circumstance does not change, okay? The circumstance is still weigh yourself every day. But the thought can be weighing myself every day keeps me conscious and connected to my body. Whoa, like that's a crazy statement, right? You can tell your brain that. And that feeling that you get from saying that is that you feel determined, you feel aware, you feel empowered. See how this is changing? Your action is that you are going to listen to Alana. You're going to hop on that scale every day. You're going to write that data down because it's no longer emotional. It's a piece of data. It's a number. You're going to follow that protocol every day and you're going to do the thought work, okay? And then guess what your result is going to be? Your result is going to be the scale will go down, you'll reach your goals, you will lose this weight forever and it won't come back. How in the world is this different from something else that you've done? Because there's no other program out there that is going to teach you this model. There's no other program out there that's going to sit with you and go through this model. And there's no other program out there that's going to talk to you on a daily basis about getting your mindset right? All right. So we're going to drop this for now. We're not going to talk about that anymore, but I want to offer you kind of a little equation, if you will. When it comes to staying committed, staying engaged, you have to have your head, that mindset, and your heart, which is your will, together. Those two things, this plus this equal a habit, okay? So those old habits that we've taken hold of, right, that have crept into our lives, maybe snacking after dinner, maybe dessert with every meal. I was the girl eating an Oreo after every meal, for real, like after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner, okay? Those habits are hard to break. Sugar addiction, all of that kind of stuff. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start with the thoughts, right? Doing some of these models. The heart, the commitment, and the heart is identifying with those feelings and taking them captive, okay? That's when the habits start to change. I had an aha that was just like, wow, this is great. The opposite of feeling, if you think of, let me write this down. If you look at the word feel, F-E-E-L, okay, and you flip the words, the letters around rather, and you put the L first, the opposite of feel is to flee. So the opposite of diving in and saying, why is this emotion here? What am I actually feeling? Is to run from it. And when you run from it, what do we typically run to? Food, alcohol, numbing out, buffering, going to Facebook, going to Instagram, scroll, watching Netflix on repeat, okay? That is when we don't want to be in touch with the feeling, the F line, that we flee, okay? This program will change your mind on that. And you may only be in a couple of videos. And Alana doesn't talk about this the way that maybe I'm talking about this, or Tina's talking about this, or Kimberly's talking about this, but it's all the same thing. So we want to feel. We want to learn how to feel. We want to learn how to check in, okay? So there's 3, if you're on the struggle bus, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. We're going to land the plane. My mom used to be such a talker, and I was like, land the plane, and now I've become her. But 3 things I want you to think about if you're feeling struggle bus oriented. You're on the bus, right? First of all, you get to control the bus. You're the bus driver. You can stop that bus, you can regroup, you can text your coach, you can put on some happy music, you could jump around, do some jumping jacks. You have the power to do that. You're in charge of your bus. But I want you to think about 3 tools that really will help you. Number 1, breathe, right? Breathing is the single-handed best, aside from sleep, one of the best tools that you can do in your life. Breathing. So closing your eyes and just, and whatever you want to do, a lot of times I will breathe in a piece of scripture, breathe out a piece of scripture. You can do mantras if that's your thing. One thing that I shared with another gal in the group, if you really wrestle with kind of getting high strung about things, there's something called left nostril breathing. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but until you try it, and it's just holding your right nostril closed. It's a calm breathing. It will lower your heart rate. It will lower your adrenaline. It will bring all of that cortisol down. It's amazing. Doing it the other way, right nostril elevates all that. So that's an energizing breath. But I want you to breathe. Number 1 is breathe. Number 2 is to check in with your heart. Okay, check in with your heart. Now, if you're anything like me, when I started to play with this model, I was like, I don't even know what I'm feeling. Like, I don't even know what the feelings are. And I think in our church, I used to teach like Sunday school for little kids, and we would have like a feeling chart on the wall, and it had like little funny faces or whatever. There were like 25 of them. You may have seen a feeling wheel. If you've ever done counseling, a lot of people work through that stuff, but really they boil down, if you think of your hand, 5 main emotions that really cover everything we will experience as human beings, okay? 5 main emotions. Mad. The first one is mad, and that covers all levels of like anger, irritation, frustration, just that inner angst, okay? So that's mad. Sad. So that's all levels of grief, loss, mourning. I want you to think about something too. We underestimate the fact that, I will tell you, years ago when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, I did not take time to grieve the loss of my corporate career. I wholeheartedly believe that's one of the reasons why I put on a lot of weight, because I was just eating that loss. So sadness is something that we can dig into that. So mad, sad, bad. You don't think of that as a feeling, but bad is all levels of guilt, shame, being wronged, rejected. That's bad, feeling bad. Number 4 is glad. Glad is the money one, right? It's the one that's happy, and that's all levels of happiness, joy, laughter, peace. Wouldn't we love to stay there all the time? It doesn't happen that way, but that's one that you want to keep record of. And then the 5th one is scared, and that's all levels of fear, being wronged, being isolated. So scared. So we've got mad, sad, bad, glad, and scared. So every single time you do this model, one of those will end up here, but then you can expand on it. So you can say like mad, but it's really frustrated. And when we can start to take those things, be aware of what's going on, you get your power back, your personal power. You get to own that, because then we have the power to change that, all right? So remember what I said, breathe, check in with your heart, those 5 things, and then I want you to seek feedback. I like to say from the spirit of truth, like this is a great time to pray over that, just to really do that thought work over that. Seek feedback, could be from your coach. If you're stuck, you want to work through this model, or you want to say, hey, I'm really having this behavior. But identifying those things is when we can start to change them, okay? That, my friends, is why diets don't work, because they don't get at the core heart issues. I think about if you're a parent and you are parenting, particularly teenagers, you can do a lot to change behavior, but it doesn't change the heart. So those things still come up again and again and again. It's the same thing when we diet. We can follow a meal plan for a certain amount of time. Most of you have done that. You have followed a meal plan, probably pretty diligently, and the weight has come off. But then it comes back on. And that's why we think diets don't work. They really don't, because that's not sustainable. It's not the whole package, right? Remember what we said about heart and head equals the habit. So if you're on the struggle bus, go back and watch this again. That's a lot of information. I'm really sorry about that, but here's the cool part. This should bring you hope. The hope is that we can start to work on the mindset, that prefrontal cortex. We can start planning things. We won't go into willpower and all that right now. But if you're starting to have emotions bubble up and sensations bubble up and feeling like I should have never done this, you're in the right place. Don't lose the faith on that, okay? Love you guys. Have a great night. If you have comments below, or comment below, tell me what your takeaway was. What resonated with you? Give me a thumbs up or a Amen, sister. If any of that described how you might be feeling this week, I'd love to hear your feedback. All right, till we talk again.